here I am on the next slide. So let's start today's session. So today is going to be our basic introduction on Pentaho stack. What all components are there on Pentaho stack as a whole, and we'll be touching mainly on reporting, data integration, and BA. So BA server, their business intelligence server. So course topic, you can see on this, there are total 8 modules today. Introduction of BA. Then the module 2 tomorrow, which we will be covering, is Pentaho Report Designer. We call it PRD as a famous acronym. We have basic concepts of PRD. Then module 3, few advanced features of PRD. Then module 4, we will be covering Pentaho data integration. Previously it was known as Kettle. So that was just introduction. Then module 5 will be covering Pentaho data integration transformations. So that's where more ETL exercises will kick in. Then module 6 will be dedicated to jobs. And so module 5 will just introduce Hadoop. So how can you connect with the Hadoop system and copy data, so move data from in and out to out and in. Then module 6 will go over one live example on HDFS, as well as we'll go over other examples, how the job orchestration can help in real life. Then module 7 will cover a few Pentaho BA server and user console. So overall, we have studied PRD, we have studied PDI, and if you want to really give the control of your work to business users who may not be knowing PRD, who may not be knowing PDI, then you can externalize your content or you can publish your content on BA server. So we'll be covering BA server along with user console. How can you administrate that BA server? And the last one is project discussion. So we'll cover a project. So a couple of projects which will be covering whatever we have learned so far in this particular course. So that's it about course topic. Okay, the objective: understand Pentaho BI stack. The first and foremost objective. One successful case study, so that you guys will aware what is the power of Pentaho, and which is already implemented and running in production. Then understand key offerings from Pentaho. So the key offering is, we have studied BA server. Then in the introduction I mentioned BA server, then PDI, PRD. Apart from that, they have some tangential tools which are helping a lot, like Mondrian based on OLAP. So it's OLAP engine, not really in memory, but our OLAP. Then PSW, Pentaho Schema Workbench. Then Pentaho Metadata Editor. Then Pentaho Aggregation Designer, and CD dashboard. So community dashboard editor. So this is community plugin which will be available freely. So these are few tools which will be studying at high level, and as I already covered, what the next future modules are going to be covering, which are the first 3 product offerings, BA, PDI, and PRD, which are the main critical items to work with the BI domain. So let's move on to next slide. So what is business intelligence? Now, can anybody define what is business intelligence based on your understanding? So Somesh is asking how this tool can be helpful for QA people. Well, it depends. In fact, QA is no more a separate branch nowadays in IT. Typically, the roles are interchangeable, and there is very thin border between QA and developer, because QA is also coding for automation, like your Selenium programming. So if you want to get data from Hadoop, and you want to in a particular QA scenario, first thing is you'll have to push the data, run your test cases, and then pull the data from Hadoop. So how are you going to do that? So this is one very good example. It's very good tool wherein you can do some automation. You can schedule your job at particular time and time. It will kick in and it will push the data to your Hadoop cluster. Then will execute your test scenario, test cases. Will pull the data back to your test environment, and you can analyze the results. That's one way of using Pentaho for your QA cycle. So I'm sure there could be more and more scenarios as we will go on and unfold the powerful features of Pentaho. You're welcome so much. Thank you. What is your understanding about business intelligence? The question is already on your slide, and you could see some images, some pictorial representation. So what is your understanding before I dive deeper? Business intelligence process of transforming business data. Business data is what is been depicted in this left side picture. You have customer who are interacting with your products through browser. Then they have to go through, penetrate through a firewall, and then behind the firewall there will be database sitting. Between database and firewall there will be server, and they are accessing a lot of APIs, churning data from database. So a lot of data is been pulled from database. New data has been added by the users. So much data churning, data exchange is happening overall in your IT infrastructure. So whether it is IT infrastructure or not, basically the depiction is more analogous to the IT world, but even in manufacturing world, no more different scenario. So in this whole process, your marketing, your sales, your development, your customer CRM, all these different verticals of your business are generating huge data. Now in business, it is continuous learning process. How will you continue your learning process out of your business data and plan strategically so that you will ensure whatever lessons learned, whatever mistakes you did in the past should not be repeated, as well as based on your pattern of the current consumption, you should lay down proper strategy so that you should be able to tap more market and utilize that opportunity to fuel growth to your business engine. This is the problem. How can you solve it? So churning data, applying business intelligence, which is the middle layer. So that is depicted as information knowledge. And in business, in applying that information knowledge, you can take right decision, as Somesh mentioned, giving right direction to your business. So before moving to next slide, what do you guys think? What are the typical challenges of business? Basically, while covering this slide, I have already mentioned few challenges, but what do you think? What are the typical challenges in business intelligence? Understanding data, Somesh is saying, then cleansing data, very good. Yeah, cleansing data is really big challenge. I have been through that phase, and in fact, yeah, that challenge gives opportunity. That's different part. So I love challenges. Trupti is saying data getting generated at different location. and from different location. Very good. Geographical challenge. Nowadays we are sitting on a cloud, and yeah, you don't know who's sitting where and data is coming from where. Yeah, different sources is another problem. So your CRM, you have multiple systems integrated. Some is talking to Salesforce, some is talking to your market research channel, some different sales channel. Yeah, so that is different data sources heterogeneous. Somesh is saying choosing right data, choosing right tool. Yeah, absolutely. Very good. I don't need to cover next slide. It seems you guys are too intelligent. Okay, so here we are, business intelligence, need of the time. And yeah, so there's huge demand in the market. I don't know whether you, or maybe in one of the slides also that item is there. I am not sure, but if you look at the current market trend, huge job trends on the rise in this particular domain. So in today's world, these are the typical questions posed by business leaders, which you have already mentioned few of them. Question number one, so insight, full decision. Whatever decision you are taking, which is in the context of your business growth, that should be insightful decision. It should not be based on just competitive pressure, peer pressure or market pressure, but it should be based on some insight that, okay, today, for example, Sony took that decision that, okay, camera business is not doing well. Now, why don't you switch to smartphones so that we can integrate our camera sensors in the phone and we can do well. And they took that decision based on that trend, and trend definitely you need to study the market data. That's different story. Still they're struggling. I just yesterday read a few 1 billion loss they're projecting, but still they went ahead with the market, and that's why they are in the market right now. But Kodak is no more, shut down. So you'll have to take right decision at right time to stay in the market. Not only stay in the market, continue growing. So first question, which the answer is end-to-end BI solution. That right decision. And then in this end-to-end BI solution, there are different layers, and those layers, one question and corresponding layer. How can I integrate, second question, how can I integrate heterogeneous data feeds to common platform to analyze it further? So the answer is ETL. And I guess Somesh had asked the mention that content, heterogeneous data. Then third one, how do I interpret raw data in best possible manner? So raw data can be unstructured data or structured data, for that sake transactional data. Now how do I interpret that data so that it will make more business sense to me? So that's where you need to run analysis, you need to play a role of data scientist, and do run a lot of algorithms on it so that you can use that information to extract some meaningful result out of it. So that particular process, that particular layer is called data discovery. And there are a bunch of tools available. In fact, someone mentioned R programming. So R programming is very good, perfectly fitting candidate here in this layer. Can I predict, next question, can I predict the future of my business trajectory? So depending on pattern, you'll have to study the pattern, you'll have to do futuristic analysis based on the current data set, and that's where predictive analytics comes into picture. And machine learning or artificial intelligence, these all things fit in this particular layer, which is predictive analytics. Even R fits here. There are more and more programming stuff coming in this particular bracket. Then the next layer, what is best way to share the data? It is, so somebody is working in reporting, somebody, okay, visualization, I'm not sure what type of visualization you guys or that person is working on. So in reporting or in data sharing, what is the best way you can share the data? One question to you. Can anyone mention what is the best way you can share the data? Okay, so Trupti is saying by graphs and by charts. Perfect. So visual data representation, very key aspect. So there are multiple ways you can share the data. One is definitely charts. In fact, when we'll jump into charts or graphs, there are a bunch of charts. In fact, Pentaho is supporting almost 17, 18 different types of charts. Those are coming as an out-of-box solution. On top of that, you can have multiple customizable charts. If you go to marketplace, you can find multiple plugins people are writing, people have written, published. So depending on your need, there are more and more different types of charts coming up. Like if you are related to stock market, day-to-day movement of one particular script, you would be using candlestick chart, which will give you very good representation of that movement. So there are multiple types of charts which can be used to share your data. Another one is table charts. So if you want to really do a lot of churning based on numbers, so you can directly play with the numbers. You'll have to get aggregation numbers. Definitely you cannot use raw numbers. So aggregation numbers, based on aggregation numbers, you can apply different sorting, different pattern finding, and you can use that data. So these are ways to share the data across your business users, your data scientists. Again, the consumer may be in different types of users depending on your requirement. Now, these are all we are talking about piece in sharing bits and pieces, the information. Now, the last question is, how do I monitor the dynamic changing trends? For example, if I am a CXO of Walmart, I need to see the trend online, real time. Like, what is my current sales and what is the pattern? Which particular region is giving me maximum revenue? So where there are more number of customers, but then customers are too stingy. So they are just visiting, and their buying potential is less, or maybe for whatever reason they are not buying too much, but just few items. That type of pattern can be hosted or published on dashboard, and that dashboard can be monitored by CXO team. So that's where monitoring is coming into picture, and the solution is dashboard. So these are different layers. How are they fitting in, or what type of requirement they are addressing? If you will go to left side, that is your requirement. Right side, that is your solution. So any question on this particular slide? Because this pretty much depicts what is BI, what are different layers in BI, and which layer is doing what. So anybody has any questions? Okay, Somesh is asking, can Pentaho provide solution to all these questions? Yes, definitely. Pentaho is providing solution to all these questions, and as we move along, we'll see which layer is addressed by Pentaho using which tool. But at high level, I mentioned ETL, their Pentaho data integration. For data discovery analytics, they have Pentaho Analyzer and Saiku. Then for predictive analytics, machine learning, again they have Saiku as predictive analytics. Then visualization reporting, they have their charting engine. So Jeffrey chart is there, what they are using. Dashboard, they have community dashboard editor, and they have Pentaho dashboard editor as well, but which is enterprise feature. Yes, it is mapped. So okay, let me go to the next. Okay, so this is pretty much we have covered. On the left side, these are business components. On the left side, it's huge data churning. So data, input data generated from different sources, like their sensors, mainly sensors. So if you see, a Boeing jet has typically 4 engines. to fuel your aircraft, and each engine is spitting huge amount of data and it's continuously writing in black box. So that sensor is writing the data, and that data is in terms of gigabytes. So in half an hour it speeds how much 1.2 gigabytes of data in half an hour. So just imagine, in one complete flight of 12 hours, 4 engines, 4 into 12 into 1.2 gigabytes. So much data is one aircraft is spitting through sensors. So such data. So that's where basically when I started my career, megabyte was pretty big number. Now exabyte and yottabyte, they are filling very smaller numbers, thanks to Facebook and Twitter. So this data is been fed to, on the right side is BI solution. The central circle is heart is BI. Around that there are peripherals which are different components. So we'll start with the top, which is data integration, then metadata management. So data about data. So how can you logically represent data? And then analytics. So there are different tools in analytics. So you'll have to do analytics on this base data. Then do operational reporting, like you're working in reporting. So how will you share the data with business users or other users? Then ad hoc reporting, some business user is intelligent enough to understand the business parameters. So he want to generate the report based on specific parameters. He should be given facility to select the parameters at runtime. So that is ad hoc reporting. So ad hoc reporting is one component. Then dashboarding, then governance. So whatever is up and running, these peripherals on BI solution, how are they performing? Whether any service is down, if down, what are the risk mitigation plans? How can you bring it up? First and foremost is how the system should alert to the support guys so that immediately action can be taken, and that service which is down can be brought it up. So all these are components of BI, business intelligence. And yeah, so this is the pictorial representation of the previous slide. So different layers, and these layers are nothing but peripherals. On the left side it's a feeder. That's about BI solution. So let's move to next slide. And so business intelligence, again concept. Business intelligence is a place, it's in place since last few decades, few meaning almost 3 or 4 decades. And in fact, rather than decades, I would say centuries, because this data since our ancient age, people are learning out of their experiences, historical experiences, and they're using that experiences for their better lifestyle. That's different thing, that there were no formal processes outlined, laid down. So formally, this BI space in existence since last few decades, when a few great scientists has coined the concept of data warehouse. And data warehouse, as the name suggests, it's a warehouse of data which has been generated over the period of usage of your business APIs or business services which are used by market, by customers, and that data will be residing forever in warehouse. Specific characteristic of it. So other than denormalized feature, another main feature is it is read-only data. So typically you don't write data frequently. So these data warehouse feature tools are configured optimally for reading purpose. It's not like transactional where read and write both is happening. So this data warehouse, the scientists when coined the concept, they came up with that read-only feature, and that's where a lot of churning is happening. When you're just consumer, typically the jobs will be scheduled over the night when the data will be fed to data warehouse, and that's when only write is being performed. Otherwise, you will be only using read. With time, it is evolved. BI has been evolved to cater the very different modern age data types. And since last decade, 2005, 2006, when Facebook started, and they started descriptive growth of data, that too not only volume in terms of volume, but in terms of structure. So it is too unstructured, and unstructured data, voluminous data, and you need to analyze. That's posing another challenge. So BI has to evolve. So analytics tools, they call it what, natural language processing, NLP. So tools have been evolved in NLP, so you can read the language, you can do churning, and you can take out some patterns. So BI is evolving. Then BI can crunch, okay, structured and unstructured data. So depending on pattern, the Facebook can sponsor, basically speed a sponsored ad to specific user depending on his post. Then, okay, so coming to the last point, and which is very important, BI essentially intended for the following three things. We have already covered, but this is kind of revision, so you guys can be transformed quickly. What is BI? Okay, please, precise and concise interpretation of voluminous data. One has already mentioned this. Then identifying new opportunities. So this is basically one important line is missing from a couple of words are missing from this line. In identifying new opportunities based on data. So that has to be justified based on data. It's not like it's my gut feel that data is going to grow, or somebody will become prime minister, but there should be some data. It's not astrology. The third one is implementing an effective strategy to have competitive edge. So depending on data, you can lay down your future track, and then accordingly you can come up with a strategy which has to work effectively. At least on paper you should be able to prove that you should have numbers to prove your strategy is going to be effective. There are different things, that market is too dynamic. There can be unforeseen parameters kick in and your strategy may fail. But yeah, depending on your visibility, there should be strong concrete reason for that strategy to win that competitive edge. So these are the key aspects of BI. Now these are existing vendors in BI domain. Oracle is predominantly largest player. IBM too is very good player. Other than Oracle and IBM, SAP has a good presence. In fact, lately they have come up with their big thing, SAP HANA, and they're mainly focusing on SAP HANA. Though my personal analysis, in fact, I went to one of the seminar. So SAP HANA is too bulky. In fact, that holds true for any large BI vendors, because you need very good infrastructure, and good infrastructure meaning in all sense, vertically very good infrastructure. Microsoft is another player which is giving the solution totally on Windows platform mainly. SAS is another older player in the market, and they are very good at analytics. A few tools are very good at analytics, but they are offering end-to-end BI solutions. MicroStrategy is another player. They started late, but they are at that stage where they can call themselves established player in the market. It's another listed company. So on large BI vendors, all of them are listed on Nasdaq. Then on the right side, these are new breed. New breed not necessarily meaning they're very new in the market, but they started with a small funding, and then they are growing, and they are establishing themselves in the market. Started with a very small player. Pentaho, the first player, which is offering end-to-end solution. Then Actuate, again, Actuate is started with BERT, BIRT platform. Then BERT is spun off. It is still open source, but Actuate has built a lot of features around BERT, and they have tried to commercialize it. Okay, Trupti is asking what do you mean by good vertical infrastructure? Vertical meaning, say that when it comes to scaling, there are two types of scaling: horizontal scaling and vertical scaling. So horizontal scaling meaning you just keep adding one new instance or one new machine. Like for example, you have a cluster running in your environment, in your data center, and in the cluster you have 10 nodes of servers running in your cluster. For the let's take example of Oracle Rack. In Oracle Rack, you have 10 instances running. Now, if you want to add scalability on your Oracle Rack, there are two ways. One way, either you can increase the upgrade the hardware of those existing 10 instances that can give you scalability. But then that is not easy because you'll have to turn down that instance, then upgrade the hardware, then bring it up, and then hook it up into existing cluster. So definitely downtime is involved, impact is more. Second approach is you just create buy another instance with the same hardware configuration and plug it in the existing cluster. So the first approach where you are upgrading the hardware, existing machine, upgrading the hardware. If you have 10 GB of RAM, then go for 20 GB of RAM. If you have 4 cores of processor, add more core, so upgrade the processor. So that is called vertical scaling. Horizontal scaling, don't add anything on top of existing hardware, but you buy another hardware and plug it in the existing chain, existing infrastructure. So that is called horizontal scaling. Okay, so on the right side, new breed. So Pentaho, Actuate, we mentioned it is built around BRT open source. So Actuate is a commercial vendor. Then Jaspersoft again started with open source, right now with commercial. In fact, Jaspersoft I have used its reporting. That is also very good reporting tool. But as far as other features are concerned, in end-to-end BI layer, they have grown inorganically, and they bought out a few players in that respective layer, and they build complete end-to-end solution. Logi Analytics, more into analytics. ClickTech is another solution, again more into visualization. Then Alteryx, then Tableau. Tableau again, the main powerful feature is visualization, but they're trying to integrate their backend as well and coming up with an end-to-end solution. So these are two different players, large and relatively smaller. And other than this, we can study based on niche offering in particular layer. We have data integration where Informatica kicks in, which is large player, pretty old player, but it was not covered in the previous slide because it is not offering end-to-end solution, but it is mainly playing a very important role in data integration. Now they have fantastic UI. In fact, I would say they have the best UI in the market when it comes to data integration, because it's been evolved. It has a very good history and it's been evolved over the more period of time. Then analytics, RapidMiner, if you want to do a lot of data churning operations, then RapidMiner is specialized in analytics. And the beauty is when it comes to Pentaho, Pentaho has connector which can connect to Informatica data source or RapidMiner data source. So even if you are working on your existing solution, yeah, you still can go ahead and use Pentaho and use specific feature on top of that. Okay, so before I moving ahead to the next slide, I would like to pose this question to you. What do you think? We have studied large player, we have studied small player. What would be the challenge of large players, or in general, what would be the challenge when you want to buy new BI solution and integrate with your business? What would be the challenge? Can you post your thoughts? Maybe some few of you might have faced the problem. These are typical challenges faced by any BI solution, and this is not only BI solution. These few things like support is for any software if you want to purchase, even for that sake, even mobile. When Xiaomi is coming into India, you will definitely ask question 10 times to yourself. Okay, what if something went wrong? May I get service after sales support? So correct, these are the typical problems. We will go to next slide, and these are 5 problems posed typically. First is most established solutions are bulky. So as you mentioned, infrastructure, which adds infrastructure cost. The second is heavy licensing cost. So commercial aspect is always very important. Whatever you say that we may not compromise on cost, but we cannot compromise on quality and cost. But those things still you will be more than happy to shed your cost and retain the same quality. Then typical integration period. So that's another very crucial point. What is the onboarding period, onboarding time? If you want to onboard any new solution to your existing infrastructure, anybody is aware of? So you guys are from very data centric organizations. Like Trupti is from Oracle. So do you know that typically what is the cycle Oracle is recommending, or in their contract they are saying, okay, we will bring this particular solution ODI or OB, and this is our integration cycle. So what is that typical cycle period? Any guess or any experience? Okay. Oh, maybe year is too long. Oracle may not get new customers. So typically they mention 1 month to 3 months. That is their typical integration cycle. Again, there are so many complexities involved. Like if for that example, tomorrow State Bank of India wants to migrate from Oracle to let's say DB2, then they have huge data. In that case, you're right. It may take a year, but in that case, even SBI will never go to that line of business and take that drastic decision. So typically, how it happens in the industry is you go step by step, and minimum step period for integration is 1 month to 3 months for large players. Whereas when it whereas when it comes to open source technology, that's where in fact it's been proven that any open source technology, if you want to brought in your business, the time to market is very small. There are multiple things you in SLA, especially when you will sign up with Oracle, they will mandate, okay, I want this hardware, I want this type of networking, so there is no compromise. And if you will compromise, then their SLA goes for a toss, and then you will feel the pinch. So these are the this is the problem of higher integration time, then higher maintenance cost. So obviously, if Oracle has to deploy one dedicated resource for you to give online support, 24/7 support, then Oracle has to pay higher, and they cannot use too many shared resources. Again, it's different propositions, and in fact they are coming up, they are trying to beat their market rates and coming up with cheaper solutions, but still maintenance cost is pretty heavy. In fact, to beat in this particular aspect, they have come up with multiple levels of support. Email support, then they will say typically basic email support will be free. Then email support where within 24 hours you will get a response, then they will charge. Then if you want phone support, then higher charge. Then you want chat support, then again different charges. They are trying to come up with multiple business models so that depending on your need you can choose. Then the last one, new breed solution. Other than Pentaho, it is difficult to get everything under the hood, single hood. So under single umbrella, if you want all the solutions, one window solution, then very few players who are experienced enough. Like Jaspersoft is offering end-to-end solution, but relatively it is newer. Then Talend, Talend, T-A-L-E-N-D is another one which is not mentioned there, but it's another player which still not offering end-to-end solution, but almost 70-80% it is covering. But again, it's relatively new. Pentaho is that way much proven. It's almost 15-year-old company. So these are challenges faced by current BI solutions, and here why Pentaho? Obviously the next question. So one-stop solution we have already actually indirectly covered. Low integration time, and so is infrastructure cost. You can work with commodity hardware. So they are definitely not high cost servers, and they are basically the one which typical configuration you buy for your domestic purpose, your desktop machines or your day-to-day laptops. So they can be very well fit in commodity hardware, where you will have 4 GB of RAM and normal i5 processor and maybe 100 gigs of hard disk. So this is typical configuration of any commodity hardware, and these type of instances are the cheapest instances available on any cloud platform, let it be Azure or let it be AWS. So the solution is easily deployable on those commodity type of hardware. Then huge community support. That's the key feature of Pentaho. They say as of today they have 14,000 active members which are participating in their community. Fortunately, I'm an honor of being part of one community member. It is easily scalable because it's running on community hardware. You can scale up. So Pentaho, you just add one node and in their existing cluster, and you can scale up. Virtually unlimited visualization and data sources. So as I mentioned earlier, they have 18 types of charts supported out of box for one Jeffrey chart engine. They have another engine as well, which is coming out of box. On top of that, there are other plugins which are not distributed along with their standard package, but you can download through marketplace. So there is unlimited visualization available in Pentaho. Can be easily integrated on top of existing infrastructure. So just briefly touched earlier also that if you have Oracle solution running or Microsoft solution running, and you want to just replace a small portion, and in fact we're going to cover quickly one case study, and Lufthansa did the same. They didn't change their existing solution, but on top of that they build their solution using Pentaho. So it can be easily integrated with existing solution and big data ecosystem especially. Then all core engines are open source. So you can download their SDK, learn their APIs. If you have specific requirement, you can write the API and you can integrate it. You can consume API from your applications. Then it's a very good tool set which has wider applicability beyond just the base product. So if somebody wants to use only reporting feature of BI Stack, then he can just download those reporting SDKs, copy it in your Java library lib folder, and use reporting engine APIs. So in your existing application, maybe in JSF or EJB and other front-end tool, you can quickly integrate. You can pass the parameters dynamically from your other application to your reporting engine and extract a report out of it. So these are main features why one should go for Pentaho. So I'm not sure anybody is playing a role of pre-sales as well here, but these are very good features or points which will be emphasized, which can be emphasized to push this Pentaho solution. So this is the stack which somebody was desperately waiting for. So Pentaho tool and BI stack. So on right side, the layers which we had studied already, these are components of BI stack, and in each stack, which tool Pentaho is offering. So like ETL, which is their integration platform, Pentaho is providing as a data integration. So it is popularly known as PDI, and hereafter I'll be mainly using acronym, but please try to understand that PDI means data integration. So you can mug up today. Then metadata management. So another tool, Metadata Editor, which is offering metadata management solution. The third tool is Pentaho BA, which is analytics. And they have multiple sub-components in this Pentaho BA, like Analyzer is one, then Psycho is another one. Then Report Designer, PRD, is playing a role in operational reporting. Then Psycho, again, Psycho has multiple features. So Psycho is also playing a role in ad hoc reporting. CDE is a community-based dashboard editor. Using that, you can basically, it's very flexible. Though one con, I would say, from business user perspective is it's not user friendly from non-technical users perspective. You need to be well versed with HTML and CSS. But to counter that particular con, Pentaho has come up with Pentaho Dashboard Editor, PDE, but that is their enterprise feature. Then Pentaho User Console, wherein you can configure your data sources, you can administer your users, their roles, which is filling this governance and monitoring layer. So these mapping is there, BI stack to Pentaho tool or Pentaho tool to BI stack. So far, any questions on any of the slides? Ad hoc operational reporting is typically depending on your day-to-day operations. For example, if you are working in a banking, so what is today's transaction? Transaction in terms of numbers. So hundreds of crores today are flown out of bank, any particular branch, and how many got deposited, how much got deposited. So these are transactional numbers. So the total turnover of that particular branch can be very well operational reporting. Or if you're familiar with stock market, so today's turnover on National Stock Exchange or today's turnover on Dow Jones, global turnover, then any specific script turnover, then what is the delivery percentage, whether people are doing too much trading or people are really have great faith and going long, and that's why they're buying in deliveries. So that type of report is operational report. Now ad hoc reporting is something you want to control parameters. So based on your requirement, you want that the system should generate a report. For example, when you generate the report, when you log into a bank and you want that, okay, show me quick view of my transactions. It will show you quick view of your transactions, and in last 10 days, or again, different banks have different interfaces, but Typically, it will show you last n number of transactions, regardless of whether it is credit, debit, or interest credit, whatever transaction, they will list down. Now, ad hoc reporting is something you want to control reporting. Like, I want to see only credit transactions where the amount is more than 10,000. So I am interested only into that big transactions and where I got the money. So obviously I love getting money. So I want to see this particular report. So it gives me a feature. I can key in, okay, where amount is greater than 10,000 and type is credit, and click on go. Boom, I'll get that report. So that customized report is called ad hoc report. This is very simple example I just now mentioned. But in day-to-day life, in practical life, when people are dealing with their reports, there are more and more complexities involved. For example, again, we haven't covered multi-dimensional database, but at runtime, if you want to add dimensions and want to generate a report based on different dimensions, then that feature is also available in ad hoc reporting. For example, my NSE turnover is how much? I am not tracking nowadays, but let's say it's 5,000 crores of turnover on last day, Friday, and out of 5,000 crores. So this is one dimension is global. So exchange, NSE, and turnover 5,000 crores. Now, Madhu is saying, man, you are rich. Oh, everybody is rich. In terms of values, in terms of money, that's different thing. But yeah, in terms of values, I believe everybody should be rich. Thanks. So when I am selecting, okay, give me turnover of exchange, and I have selected exchange as a dimension, and it gave me number as 5,000 crores. Now I would add one more dimension, script. So in exchange, I am adding one more. So just try to visualize the table. In exchange, exchange is the first column. Now I am adding one more dimension, which is script. Now Nifty has 50 scripts, so it will add 50 more rows, and that 5,000 crore will be split across these 50 scripts. So this adding this dimension of script at runtime is ad hoc reporting, and that is giving me flexibility that based on my need, me as a business user, depending on my need, I can generate report which will be useful to me. So that is called ad hoc reporting. So this is a case study Lufthansa I was just mentioning. So they had a problem inter-airline through check-in. It's a process typically you guys might have encountered when you want to travel typically to longer distances when Eastern countries like Korea or US, wherein typically the halt will be in Gulf countries, and then you'll have to change the flight and take another flight. So that wherever that halt is, that transit halt, where you are changing the flight and your luggage is also changing its flight. So this process, check-in process, you don't do check-in process again. If you are started, let's say from New York, and you're traveling to New Delhi, then typically at Frankfurt, let's assume you have transit. So in Frankfurt, you won't have to do check-in process again. That is automatic at your source. All the check-in is done automatically, and that's been handled by softwares. So that particular process is called inter-airline through check-in process. When Lufthansa wanted to monitor that TCI process, they didn't have proper software which wherein they could analyze it real time, and that was their problem statement. And the challenge was because it was not available real time, they couldn't measure it, they couldn't quantify it, and they couldn't measure typically impact. When I say measurable, there are multiple parameters, but as a business user, one should always think of customers, and customers should not be impacted. So they were not in that position to measure the impact on the customers, on the passengers. So that was their problem statement, and they had a lot of manual stuff in their system. Now, how Pentaho solution helped them? So Pentaho offered them BA, Business Analytics server, which is helping them doing real-time data analysis and real-time data report generation. Pentaho Data Integration is another offering they sold to them, which is doing ETL. So this whole aviation industry, in fact, the core backbone, aviation backbone, is still running on almost 25-year age old system, and it's very, very difficult to change overnight. But yeah, slowly and slowly they're trying to upgrade their systems, and there are a lot of challenges. But my point is there are multiple systems which are legacy systems. You cannot touch them, but you can consume their data. So there are connectors available, and data integration is playing a role of data extraction, transformation, and loading, ETL role. So right now, Pentaho is installed on their standalone machine. So they didn't go for clustering. Again, it's case to case. So they have. So this is the exact example of vertical scaling. So instead of going for 4-core quad core, they went for 16 cores. One very, very powerful machine, and the backend is powered by MySQL. So on that one machine, Pentaho is running. So what are the challenges? So we studied that challenge. What was their problem statement? How it's been addressed? So what type of solutions Pentaho offered to them, and what type of value has been added to Lufthansa after this solution? So obviously this is a commercial thing. They don't disclose much like how they have implemented the solution on ground. But at high level, this information they have made it public. So what value is been added? So Lufthansa will be able to aggregate and feed data into management cockpit. So management dashboard will have one feeder which will be feeding this whole data to their dashboard, and that data can be analyzed at real time and presented in a more graphical manner. Visualization is very powerful, which will help making right decision based on the impact. Then management now receives instant notification. So alert notification is also in place. In case of any transmission errors, company can take right corrective measure by alerting respective support teams. And in fact, these guys have partnerships. So if Lufthansa is going through transit, and not necessarily all connected flights are same, so they may have tie-up with their partner airlines. So that way they can share this information very easily with their partner airlines as well. So they can analyze the patterns of large amount of data in real time. The partner airlines also receives alerts in case of transmission errors between different IT systems. So as I mentioned, so different airlines will have different IT systems. So that way this is very, very helpful, that if I am sending alert to my partner IT system upfront, then they can take corrective measure in that anticipation. Lufthansa is able to comprehensively monitor one of its most important core process, which is basically long, and Lufthansa operates mainly over Europe, so crossing Europe and flying from east to west. So they have mainly a lot of flights going through this process of transit. So they are very, very effectively monitoring this most complex process, core process, at real time, and their quality is improved. Passenger satisfaction index is improved. So these are the values added after this solution. There are other players as well who have successfully implemented Pentaho solutions. It is running in their production houses. Exact Target retail chain, then Marketo another chain, then Benenco is another one. Edo is the learning, I guess. Then Traveltainment is traveling company. Telefonica, very leading phone company of France. Rich Relevance and Spidex. These are few companies who have implemented Pentaho solutions. And in fact, these are the players who are direct players. I myself have implemented a solution based on Pentaho and sold it to Standard Chartered Bank. And that was masking solution. So with the help of Pentaho data integration, I implemented masking algorithm. So in a outsourcing world, typically if you want to outsource some work of like someone is working in QA. So if you want to outsource testing of Standard Chartered, then Standard Chartered won't give you realistic data. For that sake, social security number, SSN. You need to test. You need to have correct SSN, which will qualify all your test cases. Now they cannot reveal exact SSN because that is breach of law. Then that's where masking comes into picture, and we did that. So the software which I implemented, so that was masking the data of production and spitting out test quality data to testing team. So that solution Standard Chartered is already using, but they are not direct player. That's why Pentaho cannot use their name in this list. So I'm sure there will be so many examples who are indirectly using Pentaho as their solution. So here is Annie, and her job is to keep you on top of your toes and keep asking the question. So she loves quizzes, puzzles, and she is there to you guys make you think. The first question: what is BI? Very, very easy question. Sure, I don't want you to answer. So BI is a business intelligence, and which is okay. Why this window is not okay? Okay, yeah. So BI is a vertical which caters to optimal representation of data. So it's all about data, using data for your business intelligence and identifying new opportunities and implementing an effective strategy. So next question I'll pose to you. What are the difficulties with existing BI solutions? Few of them you have already posted, but kind of revision. So can you quickly write what are the BI solution difficulties? Vendors, BI solution vendors difficulties, or rather consumers difficulties, going with which BI vendor? Maintenance, Somesh is saying. Performance and scalability issues, Prashant is saying. Oh, so we have one more person join, Prashant. Oh, so 6 are there. I didn't realize, sorry guys. Okay. So Somesh is saying scalability, cost. Okay, perfect. Okay, so before answering, so let me get introduction from you guys so that I will be aware of what different backgrounds you guys are from. So why don't you guys introduce Fani, Kumar, Rajashri and Prashant. Just one liner, basically how much is your experience and you are working on what type of platform. So basically you are from development background and what development platform are you using, or if you're QA, then what special thing you're doing in QA. Okay, so Prashant has led several BI projects, primarily in telecom domain. Very good. Fani Kumar has 2+ year experience in Hadoop and Tableau. Very good. So most of you guys are having some or the other way of experience with playing with data, so slicing and dicing with the data is good. So what about Rajeshri? Okay, so while Rajeshri type in, well, let's cover next. So you guys have correctly mentioned the BI solution. The problems are, the solutions are bulky, then cost, maintenance, onboarding, so integration time. Then how does Pentaho stands out in this crowd? So any quick takers and quick pointers? Okay, so Madhu is saying end-to-end solution in one BI. Very good. So under the hood, you're getting all the solutions. Perfect. Somesh is saying easy integration. Perfect. Okay, open source. Yes. So these are few features definitely which is making Pentaho distinctive. So one-stop solution, it's pluggable architecture. One of the key thing which typically other solutions like Tableau or Jaspersoft, they don't have that flexibility. If you want to use their feature, then you cannot easily integrate on top of your existing solution. Virtual support to all the data sources, huge community support. So they have almost 14,000 active members. Okay, so this Pentaho stack abstract component view. Let's start from bottom up. This is how the Pentaho architecture is. You have in day-to-day life, in practical situation, you will have a lot of third-party applications which will be deployed, hosted in your organization. Let's take the example of one beverage company. Let's say Coca-Cola. I hope there won't be any copyrighted issue. But so okay, so let's say any beverage company, giant beverage company, and it is using a lot of CRM solutions, legacy data solutions, which are integrated with its IT hub. So for that sake, there are multiple marketing companies, and any beverage company who wants to grow, the main focus is on sales, and sales. So apart from their labs and research and other activities, the main focus is how can they grow faster, grow wider, so more and more wider acceptability, covering more and more market, geographical locations. So that's where marketing companies kicks in. So there are companies like Nielsen and IMS. So these companies keep feeding data to these beverage companies. Now third-party applications. So let's say Nielsen is feeding the data. So that is our third-party application, third-party data source. Now that data needs to be, before sucking into Pentaho BA solution, that needs to be transformed. So that has to undergo transformation. So above third-party application comes data and application integration layer. So ETL process comes into picture, which will extract that market research data, will transform it, will load it into whatever database you will be using. So let's say MySQL, which will be most of the time using in your examples. So it will load the data to MySQL, and again this is raw data. So market research companies typically won't have time to correct the data and put it properly in much more relational database. They will have basically people, executives deployed on field. They will take the device, connect it with the retail chain, that retail mart, download the data and collect the data at one central place and feed the data, integrate the data at centralized system. So it is more not fully automated system. Sometimes feeders are directly connected to centralized channel and they keep pushing the data, but typically they have field integration. So during this process, you may have a lot of errors, data errors. So as someone mentioned, cleansing the data is a real challenge. Yes, so you need to do that type of work like cleansing, slicing and dicing, and then normalization, harmonizing the data in the transformation process. So that once you have sucked in the data, transformed it and loaded it into the underlying database, that data is ready to go in BI platform. So BI in whole BI process, the first one, let's go from right side to left side, process management. So integration, we have already seen that slicing and dicing and cleansing, massaging the data. Then you need to understand the definition, and then that logical mapping needs to be done. So where metadata comes into picture. So that is all about process management. So marketing terms, market research terms may not be in sync with your business terms. So you need to normalize the data. Then you need to map the data with the new terminology. So that whole stuff will happen in the process management. Then the next one, actually it's not dashboard, but next one will be doing analysis. So you will run data mining, you will try to extract dimensional data out of it. Typically research company are providing you dimensional data out of box, but those dimensions may not suit to your requirement. So you may aggregate few of the dimensions based on your need. So typically the research company will provide you dimensions like they have supermarts as one dimension channel. So they have one channel as supermart, second channel as malls where there are multiple brands, and third channel is any corner shop. If for you those channels don't make sense for your business, then you can map it to geographical location, so regional mapping. Instead of saying, okay, this is supermart, you can map to region, and for that region you can aggregate data from supermart and you can use that particular data to analysis. So a lot of data mining is happening, a lot of drilling and exploration is happening, data discovery is happening here. Then once you have harmonized the data, then you will build report on top of that. Like for my one particular region, north region, how much is the sales? And for north region, if it is giving me let's say 2 billion of sale in a year, then out of 2 billion, okay, I have a huge product catalog. So if I have thousands of products being sold, okay, give me top 10 products sold in this north region. And then for top 10 products, okay, what is the revenue share of top 10 products? So total revenue is 2 billion. Top 10 products, how much percentage? If 50% of my revenue is generated by top 10 products, then definitely I need to focus on remaining products because they should also be penetrated into the market. Then I can devise my marketing strategy. I can devise my advertising strategy and then sales strategy. If any sales team needs to be revamped, reshuffled. Those type of decisions will be fueled after this reporting. And then once your reporting is done, it means the data is already in place. Then you can build dashboards. So you can come up with the metrics. In fact, we discussed few key metrics as well. So you can come up with the metrics, KPIs, and you can build alerting mechanism. So for example, if in particular North region, one particular product, there was no sale happened in that particular region, so that can be an alarm must be sent out to respective teams so that they can act. Either they can stop the production or they can do something so that its sale can kick in. So these are different components on BI layer which are sitting, and on top of these components, BI is also giving some tangential features like security. So you can create new users, you can assign new roles to the users, so that role-based security is coming out of box. Then BA server supports LDAP-based security. So that LDAP-based security as well as Kerberos integration is also available on BA server. I'm not sure you guys are aware of with Kerberos, but they say it's been developed by MIT students, and not students but MIT labs, and that is supposed to be the strongest security mechanism so far in the world. Then BA server is giving you administrative features like you can add data source, you can make some data source read only. Then business logic also can be implemented in BI with the help of, as we mentioned, it supports APIs. So with the help of API, you can write business logic. It supports repository. So for example, you have created report, and for some okay, reporting may not be correct example. So let's say you have built one very fantastic workflow in data integration. So ETL is nothing but workflows. And if you are not familiar with ETL, just hold on, and when we'll cover ETL in detail, then you guys will be familiar with. But just visualize, ETL is a set of tasks, multiple tasks aligned in a sequence, in a chain, and they will be executed sequentially. A few of them support parallel processing as well. So those that workflow is orchestrated in ETL, and that ETL, for some reason you lost that particular job, what will happen? So you have the feature of repository wherein everything will be recorded in the repository. And repository you can configure with any RDBMS. It can be Oracle, it can be MySQL, so any RDBMS. As well as you can configure a repository with file system as well. So you can have some file system which is on S3, let's say on Amazon S3, which is high availability file server. So there is a lot of redundancy, and you can use that type of repository wherein there is very less chance that you can lose the work. Even if you lose the work, there is a feature with which you can recover the work because you have a lot of backup. Then you have extracted the data, massaged the data, cleansed the data, build very nice fantastic reports, dashboards. Now how do you publish it? So that's where presentation comes into picture. In presentation, typically you publish it with the help of browser. If not browser, you can do report busting. So you can send out the emailers to respective audiences. If you have already your portal built in, so beverage company will have their own portal. So on their home page, they can market, okay, this is our sales and we are growing by so much percentage on cumulative basis, CAGR growth. So that type of integration, so that type of real-time integration is possible with the help of portal. You can have your intranet portal running, or you can expose that particular service using web services. So if somebody wants to consume particular numbers, okay, give me efficiency. Well, efficiency, how do you measure? So if I have production of so many millions of gallons of particular product, and what is my consumption? So what is my sale? So if 100 millions of gallons is produced in a year and all 100 millions is consumed, then 100% efficiency. It may be loss of opportunity as well if you look from a different perspective, but let's say 100% efficiency. So that type of web services can be exposed, that okay, give me my efficiency percentage, and based on that one can take appropriate action. And emailing, as we said, the bus report busting. So this is the whole architecture of Pentaho BS suite. We will be also covering componentized architectural view in the next slide. So before we moving to next slide, anybody has any questions on this slide? Okay, so Prashant is saying I covered very well. Thanks. Okay, so let's move on to next slide, which is componentized view. So you have layers, it's layered architecture, typically 3 layers. First layer, if you try to memorize the previous slide, so let me go switch to previous slide quickly. Yeah, so here the bottommost is data layer, then the middle one is business intelligence platform, which is server layer, and the top one is client layer, which is presentation layer. So you can very well correlate or map with that. So typically 3 layers. We are going to dive deeper in subsequent slides. So in data layer, you will be churning with data. A lot of integration is happening with backend systems. So this is typically upstream systems, and Pentaho is downstream system. Then server layer, which is going to consume that stream data and will churn the data and make the data available so that analyzer system can consume the data, build the reports. Then the last one is client layer, where again there are 2 classifications: client layer, thin client and thick client. So we'll go dive deeper in the next slides. One more thing which I forgot to mention, it supports hosted solution. This whole Pentaho stack, if you go to their website, they sell hosted solution as well in their one of the product offerings. Of course, that hosted solution is always enterprise edition, because community edition doesn't support hosted solution. Hosted solution meaning you don't need to buy any server, but they will host for you, and they call it multi-tenancy support, or SaaS, software as a service. So they will give you your client credentials, and once you log in, you are free to use your shared space of Pentaho. So moving to next slide, let's dive deeper. The first layer, data layer. Now this is the legacy of Pentaho, that they have so many connectors available, and when we will study reporting and data integration, then you will realize how much wider support of data integration they have. So virtually they are supporting all the data, let it be RDBMS, let it be plain files, text files, Excel, let it be your legacy systems. For that sake, Salesforce has legacy system, so those type of CRM applications, or big data systems. If you have Hadoop based system, or your data is residing in HBase, you have connectors available. Okay, so Prashant is asking a question on architecture. RDBMS repository in server layer is used for. What is the name of RDBMS database used by server layer? Okay, so let me cover first your second question. So Prashant has asked the question, what is the name of RDBMS database used by server layer, and what is the RDBMS repository in server Mint? So there is no specific tie-up of server layer that only this RDBMS database I can use with server layer. It can be any server layer, any database, depending on your existing infrastructure. If you have any database already up and running and you can add one more schema on top of that, then use that database. It can be Oracle, it can be Microsoft SQL, or it can be MySQL, or even HDSQL. So that's a free database, or PostgreSQL. So any RDBMS is supported by server layer as a repository. And when I say repository, it means typically these files, the templates, when you when you design a report, so report is designed in PRPML, PRPT format. And when you design your flow in data integration, so that data integration flow is been saved into XML file. Now over the period of time, it is nothing but software SCM tool, software configuration management tool. You want to roll back few changes. Now how will you roll back? Suppose you have added one particular step in your flow, and now you realize, oh, I shouldn't have added that flow, that particular step in my flow, because probably the kind of cleansing I am doing, and because of cleansing I am losing this very crucial information. So let me push through this particular data set and let me cleanse it in the next layer. So in that case, if you want to roll back that particular change, what will you do? So in that case, you can save all your work in the repository. So you'll have to configure your repository, and so for that you need to configure that database. Once that configuration is done, whatever things you are saving in data integration, PDI, everything will be saved in that database. So anytime when you want to pull the data, it is going to connect to database and pull the job for you from the database. And when you want to roll back, then that feature is also available when you are using repository. I hope that answers your question, Prashant. Yeah. So Pentaho first layer is data layer, which we already covered almost. So it supports bunch of underlying data systems spanning from flat files to your RDBMS to your legacy data systems, CRM systems, to your modern age Hadoop and NoSQL systems like MongoDB and Cassandra. So this is data layer. The next layer is your server layer. So server layer is where it is middle layer, and you have bunch of tools, analyzer tools sitting, and these applications run on server, which plays the role of middleware, like Pentaho analysis, where you can have analysis tools up and running, and that is their continuous monitoring job. Metadata editor, Pentaho Metadata Editor is another tool which is residing in the server side layer. or dashboard CD, which is the most important stuff. So that is residing at BA server. User console. So if you want to add new database, configure new data source connection, that is part of user role, user console. So that is residing in BA server. Data integration server. So some component of data integration server is also residing at server layer, but then this is altogether different component, though it is in server category. And as a standard distribution, DI server is part of their enterprise edition offering, but the community edition also can be run in server mode using Carte. Carte is their server using, and Carte has configuration files. Using that, you can configure server and cluster model. So this is about server layer, and this data integration, PRD, lot of terms maybe you might find new, but as and when we dwell deeper into those respective models, you will understand, you can correlate the significance of those terms. So let's move to last layer, which is client layer. This is the main layer which we'll be working on, studying in this whole course. There are two types of clients: thin clients, thick clients. Thin clients, so the clients which will be running on server. So for example, Saiku, which is client, but which is running, which is a server component. Then Dashboard Designer, which is running on the server, so using which you can configure very UI-rich dashboards. Enterprise Console is also running on client layer. So these are thin clients, which are server components running on server, but typically used by your backend team or organization team, not really your business users. Then thick client runs as standalone. So you don't need server to be up and running. You can use them as a standalone package. Examples, they are like Report Designer, Data Integration, Data Studio. So Data Studio is again a feature of Enterprise Edition. It's not available in Community Edition. Then Metadata Editor, which connects to your database and you can do logical mapping. Aggregation Designer, which is required for OLAP. So there are few dimensions which you need to pre-aggregate. So they call it pre-processor. So you, instead of at runtime, always you aggregate the data and make it available for the analysis, which may be very, very time consuming job. So you can have that data aggregation done upfront. So for that, Aggregation Designer is tool which is useful. The Schema Workbench, which is client to Mondrian OLAP engine of Pentaho. So these are the different layers, and these are tools. How do they fit in different layers? Is Pentaho better than other BI tools for real world applications? So definitely, Prashant, we have seen its advantages. Pentaho does have few cons as well, which we haven't covered here. But the cons, in which case, okay, based on my experience, I would say if I don't want to go for Pentaho, in which case, especially when you want to expose the system to users, business users who are really too passionate for building dashboards. In such case, especially dashboarding solution offered by Pentaho is not that user friendly. Now they have tried to come up with a Pentaho Dashboard Designer, which is their proprietary or commercial offering, but then it's not powerful. When I say it's not powerful means you cannot change too many very minute things. So at minuscule level, it's not giving that flexibility. Now I haven't myself studied with different dashboard editors, most of them, but then when CD comes into picture, I have particularly worked on community dashboard editor. So that gives me a lot of feature, that of a lot of flexibility, because it's as good as I'm writing HTML, CSS, and jQuery code, so JavaScript code. So anything whatever is required can be accomplished using CD. But then the expectation here would be that technical person should be using CD. So consumer can be business user, but if business user's expectation is that I myself should be able to build a dashboard editor, in that case he will have to learn. So this is one thing, one only thing I could think of where Pentaho is not that user friendly, but otherwise with minimal time you can come up quickly up to speed and you can start be productive. Yeah, one another thing which Pentaho lacks is documentation. If you expect that okay, now they have released their Pentaho 5.1, so they have released in fact this time they have done very fantastic job. They have standardized all the releases on the same number. So PRD, PDI, BA, all are going with the same release number. So although internally they are different projects, different repositories. So they have released 5.1 platform. Now their documentation, info center documentation is not up to date, because this is majority of the documentation is with the outcome of efforts from community members. Now community members are more interested into developing. Few community members may be interested in helping others by writing some help documents or help kits, but then that is not growing, and obviously if it is not paid job, then it is not obligatory as well. So it is out of choice. People may have time or they may not have time because of their busy schedules, but documentation is something certainly they lack. And in fact, I am writing a book on PRD, which is on 5.1, and on 5.1 there is no book available so far. The last edition is on 5.0. So that way, if you want to use latest version, then you will have to rely on the community. What are the new features? If for example, if you will install data integration PDI and you will open their changelog, they are still talking about 3.7, whereas the current version is 5.1. So that is one drawback of Pentaho, but then that is true with any open source technology. So any open source product, typically nobody will have time to write a proper document. But in fact, it is good that people are working hard to close the bugs. They have very good Jira ticketing system, and a lot of people are contributing and making sure all critical bugs are closed so that they can be released in the main generally available GA version. So having gone through different layers and after understanding various offerings from Pentaho, let's look at individual products in the next slide. So this is their server offering. So when you will install Pentaho BA server, so previously they used to call it BA server for Enterprise Edition and BA server for their community edition, and now from 5.x they have standardized that as well. And now whether it is EE or CE, CE means community edition, EE means enterprise edition. So whether it is CE or EE, they are being called as BA server. So this is their server layer. This is BA server offering, and the one which you are seeing, the home page of that BA server portal. You can see the admin user is logged in. So on the right side corner, you can see admin and one small little arrow besides that. So that tells you the user is admin user. On the left side, you can see again home and then little drop down. So that is home, and it is basically drop down. If you can drop down, open it, then you can see the options, different options available. Then you can see the menu bar, file, view, tools, help, so different features available in this BA server. Then under the home bar, you can see different buttons: browse files, create new, manage data sources, documentation. So these are, if you have some thing already published on this server, then you can go to that published content using browse files. If you want to create new dashboard, you want to create new data source, then you will use create new. Then manage data sources is dedicated for data sources, and documentation, which will redirect you to documentation folder. So this is how, and on the right side, Pentaho is asking for help. So you can learn, it is offering help; contribute, it is asking help; meet the family, so contributors who are doing contribution daily, regularly, you can meet them. Upgrade to enterprise edition. So if you want, you can upgrade it to EE, and you can get online support as well. So these are the list of features of BA server. Host content created both on server itself. So on server itself, you can create host content, as well as you can publish it. So while working on PRD, Pentaho reporting, you can publish the report on the server which is running. So you'll have to make sure server is running. So PRD will connect to server with the credentials, and then will publish the report to server, so that server users will have access on the report. So content can be created on server itself or published to server from other tools, from desktop tools like PRD. Then it manages security, which we have already seen. It has role-based security, as well as you can have integration with LDAP security model. Then running reports, you can run the report which are published already. Then designing dashboard using community dashboard editor or using Pentaho dashboard editor. You can design the dashboard, you can display the dashboard. Then report busting, so you can display the report, you can send the report to individual mail recipients. OLAP, so it has capability to connect to OLAP engine, which is online analytical processing, which will be covering in that OLAP offering. Then Mondrian with MDX support, which is nothing but client. MDX is a scripting language which is used to interface with this OLAP tool, or any OLAP tool, not only Mondrian. Then Pentaho Report Designer, CD, so dashboarding we have already covered. So this is all about BA server. Other than that, these are features which are Pentaho Analyzer, Saiku. So using Saiku, you can analyze the data which is already available and connected on Pentaho data BA server. The scheduling and monitoring, this is EE feature. You can schedule the tasks, the jobs, and it will be triggered at particular time. Then, by the way, this scheduling is available in EE version, but there is a other way using which you can schedule your jobs offline through Windows Scheduler. So when we'll study this PDI, Pentaho Data Integration, I will mention about that in that course, in that module. Can be extended to commercial as well as open source plugins. Can be extended with those plugins. So the basic feature can be expanded by adding more and more plugins on top of that. ctools is their project centralized repository site, where if you go to ctools.pentaho.org, you will find a lot of their projects, upcoming running projects, active projects. By default, it is running on Tomcat. In fact, it is offered, it is packaged along with their distribution, but you can configure it on JBoss or WebSphere as well, any Java application server. It comes in two flavors, C and E, and these are the differences. What is the features which are coming with C, and what is the features which are not coming with C. So first one, enterprise reporting. The name itself says enterprise, so available only in enterprise. Okay, so there is a mistake it seems. So open source doesn't support report building or report designing, but in open source you can open the reports, but you cannot design the reports. So that's the difference. So although it is mentioned there, yes, but then when it comes to design, you cannot design the report in open source. You will have to use a designer, which is a standalone application, PRD, report designer. Then interactive reporting, open source doesn't have out-of-box solution, though they have. So if they have community-based editions, they are not covered here. So when you say you see no, it doesn't mean that open source doesn't have at all any support. It does have, but it has different offering on community from ctools. So interactive reporting is available in E. Interactive analysis and reporting is again in E. Dashboard, open source, you will have to use C, community dashboard editor, whereas other E edition has out of box. Data integration, open source, yes, without scheduling, whereas E edition supports scheduling as well. Then secure data integration, open source doesn't have that feature, whereas E does have that. Connectivity, it has basic connectivity features. E version has expanded connectivity features. So here connectivity, basic and expanded, here more in terms of ease of use. Otherwise, whatever adapters, connectors are available, they are available in both editions. Then SSO, single sign-on, C is not supporting. Release patches, again no support on portal support, phone support. So all these support is not covered in C edition. SLA, named support context, you will be assigned dedicated contact person. So all these are not supported in C, and they are supported in Enterprise Edition, who again have three different models, three different versions, and they have some differences which you can go through it. So let's go to next slide. What are the different layers in Pentaho architecture? So we have three layers: data layer, server applications, and C tools, client tools, which again have thin and thick. What is reporting? So we have quickly touched base already to this concept. So reporting is basically to share the data with different users. So you can regularly provision the information as and when available data is made available, you can share that information. So that information will be visualization of filtered data. It can be derived from historical data, which is base data. Then for decision makers, you will have to take decisions. So you will have to share the data with appropriate KPIs, appropriate metrics. So that is where reporting comes into picture. So it's a depiction of different visualizations in the picture. So it's a pie chart and bar chart, and in fact it's multi-dimensional bar charts. So let's move on to the next slide. Okay, so I am seeing the question popping up. Can we, okay, Somesh is asking, can we schedule Pentaho jobs with third-party scheduling tools other than Windows Scheduler? Yes, you can very well, Somesh. It has very good integration support, so API support. So you can very well do that. Using third-party tools, using Quad Scheduler of Java, you can do that. So Pentaho Report Designer is the next tool, next offering, which is design tool. Now it gives you pixel level accurate reporting tool, which is open source, containing rich set of features like rich GUI. So it supports drag and drop. The tools elements you can choose and you can drag it and drop it on your workspace, reporting workspace, and you can use it. So you'll have to map it with the appropriate data source. So any particular field from data source, and it will be tied up with that particular source. Okay, so PRD has rich UI, drag and drop feature is supported, and it has rich library. So a lot of elements. Each element will have, just like if you would have used VB, Visual Basic. Similar to that, this tool is allows to create relational and analytical reports from wide range of data sources. So almost all data sources which are available on BA server are available on PRD. It supports sub-report. So sub-report meaning report within report. For example, if you are building invoice, then you are getting data from order line. So order line, that data you got. Then for that particular customer, you would need its address. So address is something, definitely it's not coming from the same table. Now either you can have join, and then that will become redundant information because each row will split that information, or else you can have subquery. Subquery to fetch the report, the address of that customer, and only that subquery is fed to subreport. So you can add one subreport and have that query which will feed data to that report, subreport. So that feature is also available. Then charts and graphs are there. Visual reporting is possible. Then supports API based reporting. So you have created your report design, and then you want to integrate it with your existing app server. That is possible. You will have to use reporting engine and reporting API, and then you can call programmatically that report through reporting API. So Pentaho reporting engine executes the report designed by PRD. That's how it works. API based reporting can be easily embedded in any Java application, which we already talked about. So this is all about Pentaho Report Designer. This is again will be covering in great detail from second module onwards. So from tomorrow we will be covering this PRD. So this is the screenshot of PRD. This is how it looks like. On the top you can see a typical menu, and then below menu there is a toolbar, and then on the left side vertical strip you can see these are the elements like label and text field and numeric. So these are different elements available, reporting elements depending on your requirement. Like steel wheels is the logo, so for that you need image element. So image element is where my mouse is, so that is image element. So you'll have to drag it, drop it in the report header, and you'll have to configure that image URL. The central space is called reporting space, reporting canvas, where the canvas is been split with multiple bands, and you can see on the left side of canvas, page header is the top band, then report header, then details header. So all these are bands, They are classified based on what level it is in, like whether it is page level, report level, then it is detail level, and on top of detail level there is a grouping also. So you can have grouping of details, just like SQL concept, it is grouping. And you can see the ruler as well. So they say pixel level report, so you need to know what is the length and breadth, length and width of that element. You can control it, as well as you can control it on the right side. You can see on the top side there are two tabs, structure and data. In the structure you can see all the bands, and within band what all elements are there. Like the selected band, under report header there is one band, and in that band you can see image and then resource key, schema. So these are the values, parameter values. Another element like message field, and then another element label. So this is how it is hierarchical view of report structure. Each and every component will be listed here. On the right side it is data, where it will be mentioning data layer. So whether it is connecting to different data, then if it is any SQL, then it will show that SQL, and if it has fields, columns which are fetched by the SQL, then it will list down those columns. Then on the bottom side there are again two tabs, styles. So whatever element selected corresponding to that element, it is style, size and position, and lot of parameters will be studying tomorrow. Attributes, attribute is more related to data side. So if it is text field, then what column should be mapped to that text field, so that at runtime the data will be mapped to that particular column. So that type of information is can be configured using attributes tab. So that's all about Pentaho Report Designer. This is just a basic layout. Before we cover ETL, let me give real life analogy. Okay, the question window is popped up, and is there any question? Good so far. Okay, fantastic. So let me give you a real life analogy. I'm sure a few of you guys would be married, and they can correlate to my analogy. So a person before marriage, then during the process which is marriage, and after marriage, the person which is fed to marriage process and comes out of marriage is totally different. So that is transformation. Now in a real life scenario, transformation cannot be reversed, so it is irreversible process. So let me give another analogy which is fantastic. I am amazed with that analogy. Is a caterpillar, which is caterpillar, and during the metamorphosis process it is transformed and it gets converted to butterfly. Now during this process, what happens, even scientifically nothing so far can be proved that caterpillar, how can it have capability to transform into butterfly. It is still a research issue, but during that whole process of metamorphism, that caterpillar undergoes transformation and she gets transformed to butterfly, and it is irreversible process. So practically with real life living creatures, the transformation is irreversible process. Now in IT world, IT is blessed because whatever process is producing outcome, that is reversible. So you still can reverse engineer and get raw data, though it is too cumbersome. Now having given you this real life analogy of living creatures, now let me give you an analogy of IT world. If you are working in a manufacturing industry, let's say automobile industry, lot of data is being churned, like it has got huge supply chain management. in SCM, in supply chain management, it has got so many different branches. Like one is taking care of inventory, one is taking care of logistics, one is taking care of supply. Then supply side has to cater with different vendors. Very, very complex system. Then they have to talk to different systems only in standard format, which is EDI. Now EDI has a bunch of specifications, almost hundreds of specifications are there in EDI. So if it is invoice, then invoice has got specific EDI specification. If it is in purchase order, then purchase order has different specifications. All this data is been exchanged, and now you have to extract all this data in a single system so that it can be brought at a common platform, and from that common platform you can generate reports. So this whole system has to undergo transformation so that all the data can be harmonized, can be synchronized, can be cleansed and brought on a common platform, and then will be made available for the reporting system, which is this whole process is called ETL. Now we'll go through this in detail. Source on the left side, central side is the extract. Okay. Excellent, so much, thank you. So source side is your feeders, the central one is your ETL process and target. So source and target are just holders, stores, where data will be residing at. Will be source data as well as target data. So source data can be relational database, files, NoSQL, external applications, Hadoop, again big data, HDFS. The NoSQL data sources like Cassandra, MongoDB, CouchDB, Netezza. So these are the sources. On the target side, typically it will be data warehouse, and as somebody mentioned, data warehouse will have multi-dimensional data. But in modern age ETL or modern age extended data warehouse architecture, your target can also be HDFS or also be your NoSQL. Then the central one where ETL is happening, where it extract is extracting the data from the source, then doing some analysis based on for data error. Will do analysis. If error is there, then it will cleanse the data, then do data profiling, and once it is done, then it will push to the next process, which is transformation. During transformation, it does aggregation, then it does joining with some static data, metadata, then it does filtering, only required data should be pushed, then it does sorting, and then it is, once transformation is done, it will be pushed to the target system through load. So it will create and execute workflow to load the data from source to target. So this whole process, little complex, not too much complex, but you can very well relate to the analogy and you can understand. So this is called ETL process, and for ETL process, each BI from BI perspective, it is the most important concept, and Pentaho is bridging this particular requirement of filling this particular requirement using by offering PDI. Any issues in ETL process? I know you guys, majority of you are from data background, so you can easily correlate. So can you name the factor that can be accomplished using Pentaho BA? Okay, so these are the major traits, major factors which is offered by BA server, which is security, then running reports. You can publish the reports, make them available for the users, end users, displaying or designing dashboards. Then you can send mails, send reports through emails, report busting. Then you can connect with OLAP, do OLAP analysis. Then you can do dashboard designer using CD or C. The next question is, what is PID and how it is helpful in sharing information? This is multiple times repeated now. Maybe good when you will be going through the slides will work as a revisor. So PID is a reporting solution, comes in two flavors, C as well as E. PID can help creating enterprise level pixel perfect reports containing visual elements as well as tabular elements. You can share with target audience easily. You can distribute reporting template. They can run in PID, or you can generate the reports in PDF or Word, and then you can publish. You can share those generated reports. Now is another tool, PDI. PDI is, as we have already touched base multiple times, data integration concept. So this is ETL concept we already studied. This is the offering. It has got two components. One is server component, DI server. So this core component executes job and transformations using PDI engine. And it has default user and role based security, can also be integrated with existing LDAP, Active Directory Security Provider. So DI server offering is a EE offering, doesn't come in community edition. The design offering, so standalone tool, comes up with Spoon, Kitchen, Pan and Carte. So other than Spoon, rest of the three are command line tools. So Spoon is a GUI tool, has some user interface, and in fact majority of our module will be working on Spoon, wherein you can design the workflows, you can orchestrate the jobs involving multiple transformations. Then it offers you very rich set of data connections, supports all the data sources which we have already seen so far. It supports transformation, it supports job. Job is nothing but a set of transformations. So you can tie together transformations. So transformation is a collection of steps, and now collection of steps constitute one transformation, and then multiple transformation constitute one job. So these are different terms. So in Pentaho world, these are the terms. If you go to Informatica, they are using different terms. So this is the layout, Pentaho data integration. One sample layout you can see, and each square box you can see this text file input, then split fields, field into row, then modified JavaScript value. So each square box is called a step, and each step, so all these steps constitute one transformation. So this job name, this transformation name, HPL tamper importer. So this is reading the data from one text file, splitting the fields into row. Basically one field contains multiple rows, and the requirement here is that one row needs to be split into multiple rows and can have one transformation logic applied, business logic applied. Then whatever is not required can be discarded, and whatever is required can again fed to filter rows, and then final data is pushed to database table. So this is the layout, typical layout. Toolbar is there, menu bar is there, then toolbar is there. On the left side you can see design tab. So design tab is nothing but all the steps which are available. You can see input, output, transform, utility, flow, then scripting, lookup. You can see data mining related steps, then big data steps. So all these steps are available. Most of the steps, a few of the steps will be covering. Most of the steps will be touch basing in our next modules. View is something, whatever is been used on this particular transformation, only that will be visible in view. So it is, view is more specific to the currently open transformation. On the right side, central one where you can see the workflow is called workspace. Then this is tabulated view. It supports MDI, so multiple document interface. They say you can see different transformations open, and you can switch to different transformations using by clicking on the tab. This is perspective. Currently the perspective is data integration, and community edition supports only data integration perspective, but EE supports different perspective like metadata or aggregation perspectives. So this is all about Pentaho data integration. This I'm just running fast because PRD and PDF we are going to cover in great detail in the next modules. This is metadata. It's a supporting tool, not used in day-to-day life, but it supports to great extent. So Metadata Editor is a tool, and this slide talks about concept. I'm sure you guys must be aware of metadata at conceptual level. So it is data about data. You must be aware of ER diagram. ER diagram is nothing but metadata. ER diagram is nowhere stored in database, but it is logical mapping of your physical entities, how they are correlated. So it is data about data. It ties together your technical information with business information and process information. It is data that describes business intelligence like mappings, aggregations, transformations, and rules. Again, there can be great complexities, but then it depending on your requirement, especially if yeah, I think Prashant is from telecom domain. So telecom has very complex processes. So if you want to present the domain knowledge also to the end user, then you'll have to apply different rules, and with the help of different mappings, you'll have to present the data so that the next person can understand it easily. So that type of mapping would be useful if it is too complex process. This is one very basic example illustrated here. Email is a physical entity. Email, so on top you can see email, manage object. Email has typically 3 physical elements associated with it. First is email itself, then second is person, and third is priority. So email, person, priority. Now email in turn will be mapped logically. So this is the logical mapping. So logically email can be split into 3. Each email will have subject, each email will have receive date, which each email will have send date. Then things which are person. So here at domain model, everything is thing. At second layer, at top layer it is object. So object is relational mapping mapped object which has 3 things associated, and each thing is email, person, and priority. So if you'll think from OOPS perspective, you can correlate it easily, this example. Then so top model, top layer or top half is domain model, bottom half is metadata terms. So this is all terms. So email thing is split into 3 terms, which is subject, receive date, send date. Now person is split into 2 things, 2 terms. First is sent to, so whom the email is sent to. Second is sent from, so who the mail is sent from. So first is recipient, second is where is it coming from. Then priority terms, priority level, and priority type. So it can have multiple levels, it can have multiple types. So which type and in type which level. So this is the example of metadata concept. Metadata editor is the answer to from Pentaho. to address this metadata concept. Again, Pentaho Metadata Editor is not quite often used tool, only at the time of designing database, initial one-time activity. Pentaho Metadata Editor is facilitating users to build your metadata domain and then relational model based on that. Metadata model maps physical structure to logical business model. We'll see it in the next slide how it is possible. Then mapping between physical to logical data are stored in centralized repository. So that's the beauty, that even that mapping is stored in the repository. So that is stored in database, centralized database. That definitely helps administrator. So it is more for administrator to achieve few specific objectives. First is administrator can create a data dictionary based on that, which gives better understanding model. Like I mentioned telecom domain. So if you wanted what is OSS and what is DSS, so what are the typical terms used in OSS and DSS model, then this data dictionary definitely helps, and it is evolved based on the experience. It is evolved, so that gives you the most practical knowledge. Reducing no impact, low to no impact on changes in low level. So if something happens, some change happens at database layer, so administrator has very good visibility that how that will impact at my logical layer. So for example, somebody thinks, okay, email has 3 fields so far: subject, to, and subject, message, and receive date. Subject, send date, receive date. It doesn't have message. Now in subject both are covered. Now I want to add message as a separate field. So in that case, what will be the impact overall in the solution? So that can be gauged by administrator. Then setting fine access control to objects. So this access control can be monitored by administrator. Okay, something popped up. Why do we need, Somesh is asking, why do we need to change the metadata first place, or is this exclusively for designing the metadata? Okay, we are not changing metadata first. Again, this is a business need. Sometimes you may need to change the terminology in metadata world because business users doesn't understand, or sometimes because of changes in the your backend system, your backend data, physical data may undergo changes. So changes are possible from both sides, and both side changes may have impact. May have impact, may not have impact. Again, that is situational. So depending on that, you'll have to take a right decision, and administrator typically will have that visibility because he will be monitoring metadata model by very closely. Localizing information to users' regional settings. So he can use internationalization and what is the regional setting, and depending on that he can do localized setting. So this is one example come screenshot of metadata editor, which is again design tool. As shown in the screenshot, you can see on the left side this is a hierarchical view. First is connections. You'll have to configure connections. Then business models. So under business models, you can have different business models configured. So I have opened orders. So orders on the right side, it shows you graphical view. So you'll have to configure this mapping first time, and then based on mapping, then you can share the information. And if you change the mapping, automatically you have provision that you can update the backend as well. So here in this mapping, you can see orders and customers. So there is a relationship between orders and customers. So each customer will have order. So there is a foreign key relationship in orders for customer. Then orders are associated with the payments. Then orders will be playing as a foreign key in order details. Then order details in turn will have relationship with products. So what product is ordered. So each order has multiple order lines, which is order details, and in each order line, what is the product that is been ordered. So those will be coming from products. This relationship is very beautifully depicted in this graphical view, which is nothing but logical mapping, because it is not in this physical table. So although physical table assists you, facilitates you with the help of foreign key and primary key model, but then association, for example, each order will have payment. So that association model, again, you will have to rely based on your practical knowledge. So if you want to share this model of your database design with users, business users, then this metadata model helps to a great extent. Other than this metadata editor, I'm sure you must have used different editor, like Data Designer is a very famous tool using which you can come up with such views, such mappings. So this is how this metadata model works. On the right side, there are two layers mainly, and the middle one is abstract layer. So metadata business model as one major component as shown. So business model, each color has significance. In the representation, each independent business object has its unique color. So like business table 1, business table 1. So this business table have unique color. Then column 1, column 2, column 3. Then first east name, west name. So these are analogy. So the top one is abstract names, and the bottom one, they're showing some realistic example. So the first relationship inherits that metadata with ability to override it. For example, here customer table is been inherited by business table. Now in customer table, you have multiple elements: customer name, customer address, customer number. Not necessary each element is mapped to individual counterpart element in abstract business layer. So business table may not have same number of sets. For example, customer name in business layer is split into two. Okay, this should be first name and last name. And then customer address and customer number are same, one-to-one mapping. Then at business view, again, this is different representation. How do you represent to business view? So you can have, okay, so this east name and west name is basically coming from, again, relationship. So whether the customer is based in east or based in west. So depending on that, it will be categorized whether east or west, and then based on that it is classified here whether that particular customer should be pushed into east bucket or should be pushed into west bucket, and rest of the details remain same. So this is how you can use, this is one simple depiction of one use case, how it can be used, metadata model. But there can be n number of different scenarios, and in fact for too much complex scenarios, I would suggest this metadata model doesn't work that smoothly. The lesser complexity, it was smoothly and you can easily share the information. But too complex, then you will lose the track and analyzing the impact becomes a nightmare. That's the reason the general recommended business practice I have seen is keep it very, very simple. Don't add unnecessary complexity into this metadata model. Now, after having metadata, another important piece is OLAP introduction. Now, OLAP, do you guys? Oh, it's already okay. So I may not ask you a question because time is not permitting me. So I will quickly run through the OLAP introduction. So as OLAP name says, online analytical processing system, which is different than transactional databases, where you have denormalized data. So all the dimensions are brought in the same column, same row, and its associated facts or measures are added in that same table. So that is OLAP. Let me see. Okay. OLAP also will be studying. Okay, yeah, this is the module we will be covering on that slide. So OLAP in general has two types: ROLAP, which Pentaho is supporting, and it uses data warehouse for data as a source. MOLAP, it uses cube for data, so it aggregates cube upfront and stores in the cube fashion the data, whereas ROLAP creates cube at runtime. These are existing OLAP players in the market. You can see all big players. Along with that, Mondrian OLAP server is also available, which is free. Few of them are proprietary, few of them are community like ICQ. Mondrian Analysis Services is the offering from Pentaho. We have seen it is ROLAP. It comes under Analysis Services and codenamed as Mondrian. Used to slice and dice the data, very useful for ad hoc reporting. Yeah, so OLAP supports MDX. MDX is a multi-dimensional expression. It's pretty generic language, interfacing language if you want to communicate with any OLAP tool. So Mondrian supports MDX. Then Mondrian schema is universal metadata descriptor, so which is supported by almost any OLAP client. So even if you don't want to use OLAP MDX, there are other client tools available which you can feel free to use because it has generic interfacing already in place. Now we've been talking about OLAP. What is the OLAP and how the data is structured? So this is a quick depiction how the data is organized internally. Now on the left side you can see a cube, multi-dimensional cube. So not only it has length, breadth, but it has length and width, but it has also breadth. You can see vertically on y-axis you can see standard PC, executive PC, and ambassador PC. This is basically sales of PC, personal computers. So on y-axis you can see sales of standard PC, executive, and ambassador PCs. On x-axis these are numbers, you can say units, and on z-axis, which is the third dimension, is time. So in which month? Jan 01, Feb 01. Whatever you are seeing on the front side of the cube is Jan, and on the back side is Feb. Now you will have to take out the previous slice to see what are the numbers of Feb. So this is the typical arrangement of multi-dimensional cube. This is just 3-dimensional cube. In reality, there are n-dimensional cubes, which we cannot. There is no way to represent. But on right side you can see one way. So on the right side you can see star schema model. The central part is a fact where key measurements will be listed. On the left side, on the corners, left side top corner, you can see time dimension. On the right side, product dimension. So time dimension, all time related information. You can have aggregated information like month, quarter, then year, half year, all those stuffs. On right top corner, you can see product dimension. Then bottom right corner, you can see channel dimension. So what is the channel source? Then on the left bottom corner, you can see customer dimensions, all the details of customer. And then depending on your dimension, you can dive deeper and extract the values. So on the central, you can see units, history, fact. So this will be facts, which is number of units. So if you will select month as February, product dimension as standard PC, and channel, let's assume none, no channel and no customer, then this will become perfect analogy of three-dimensional database. Sorry, three-dimensional. Okay, so channel is actually here mentioned, Vanchal, Rome. Okay, so this is geographical information. So this channel will be the third channel. So if you select these three channels, you will get the numbers, which is nothing but this unit. We have added one extra dimension, which is customer dimension. And if you add one more dimension, customer, then you can get the specific number for that particular dimension as well. So we have covered this multi-dimensional cube and star schema model. How to connect to Mondrian engine? We have already seen that MDX is a way using which you can interface Mondrian engine. Basically, before explaining to that, let me do a step back. So basically, how the Mondrian is been, okay, just a minute, let me see if it is covered in the slide. Yeah, it is covered in the next slide. So I'll touch base in the next slide. So as we studied, Mondrian is OLAP server. It is multi-dimensional. It has cube structure. It is built on top of existing RDBMS. No constraint. Any RDBMS can be used. On top of that, you can configure Mondrian. So you can configure Mondrian on top of Oracle, on top of MySQL, any RDBMS, standard RDBMS. If you want to talk to Mondrian cubes, then MDX is a query language, which is a pretty standard query language in the industry. Mondrian is providing you support of MDX through their own Pentaho schema workbench, which is another rich client tool. Then MDX has wider acceptability. For example, even Jaspersoft is providing you connector to MDX, and through that connector you can connect to Mondrian OLAP database.